Guys, when I say my fate is in your hand, do whatever you want, it meant to make you vote for anyone except these three, alright? A simple reverse psychology, man, you must know it. Then why does this SNES trio is in the top 3? Are you still want this series to be chronologically ordered, or you just want to make me suffer from all these 2-in-1 characters? Seriously, I don't even have to make a poll for next 2 video. Who am I kidding? I gotta do it anyway. Alright, after we're done with NES era territory, we now come to SNES era. And what is a better way to start with the greatest protagonist in Final Fantasy history? Well, at least according to some people at least. I'm not even sure. I haven't even played this game yet. But from what I saw in the story mode in the Dissidia, he's a really admirable person. And seriously, even if he does accidentally fit a lot of Final Fantasy overused character trope. Shy, pretty, handsome, edgy? Well, maybe kind of, at least in the beginning. But aside from that, his appearance alone already sold me. I always loved the idea of a clash between light and darkness. Yeah, Square have been overused this trope too, but I still love it anyway. Cecil is not particularly my main, but I still like to play him from time to time. He is the first character who do the whole 2-in-1 character thing, before Onion Knight or even Lightning. While both Dark Knight and Paladin itself are not as strong as the other character, but combined it together, he becomes one hell of a fun package. There are even some combos that I still remember to this day. Use Dark Cannon into a Soul Eater, and who can forget Surge right into a Paladin Force. Personally, I prefer Paladin more cause aerial combo is my playstyle, but Dark Knight is still cool to play, especially that Nightfall dunk move. But is his lip still looks like he's taking some time in the morning to put some makeup? Let's go fly into the moon and join me in Cecil Warrior Spotlight. You know, it's kinda weird that we go from Onion to Cecil. Both of them, including Lightning, have so similar concept that sometimes I'm starting to wonder if all of them are related. Which, in terms of gameplay, Cecil will be like an Onion and Lightning have a big. To clarify, Onion and Lightning is basically on the opposite spectrum of versatility and raw power, and Cecil is somewhere in the middle. It doesn't mean it's just a mix of the two characters though, that's only half of it. There are several cool things that make him distinct from other warriors. First off is the job themselves, Dark Knight and Paladin. For a veteran player of Dissidia, you probably know that these two jobs can be considered as a unique character themselves. And in the arcade version, it's still pretty similar to the original version. Dark Knight is a ground-based mid-range fighter, basically filling evil twin brothers. And Paladin is an arrow-based close-range fighter, basically sit-down good twin brothers. Unlike Onion job that still retains some ability from other job or Lightning whose stat always stay the same, Dark Knight and Paladin fundamental stat is, well, like Dark and Light. One slow, other fast, one heavy hitter, others mobile assassin. This makes him not only a versatile fighter that can serve many different roles, but also a really fun character all around. But of course, he does have some weakness though, pretty big one too. Each job themselves will have 5 attack instead of 7, which means he has a very limited utility in short-term fights. And added that with how clear his job's strength and weakness is, it's not really hard for your opponent to exploit his weak points. And he can only share his job by using EX skill which have 30-second cooldown, or maybe a job specific HP attack which you can only have one at a time, which basically means it's a one-way ticket. With this kind of flaw, not many people generally play him that much back in the day. I'll explain that later though. Now before I go to each job, there's one improvement from the original Dissidia for Cecil. In character selection, you can actually choose which job you are going to start with. Really, I am amazed that they even bothered to make an intro and victory animation for both jobs. Someone probably haven't slept for 3 days straight for this. A little downside though, well, remember in the original when he changed his job, it actually showed in the character art? Well, it won't change here in the reboot version though. So yeah, don't be like, what the hell, I thought he's a Dark Knight. Who knows, maybe they will add this feature later, I don't know. But you might ask, which job should I start with then? Well, both of them kind of work, but I would say go for a Dark Knight most of the time. Why? Let me go deeper into the Dark Knight first. Dark Knight job is a pretty strong, well-rounded fighter, but strangely he's a defensive fighter. Yeah, it's kinda like that in old Dissidia, but it's still weird. Aren't Dark Knight supposed to be a combination of Knight and Black Mage? You know, an offensive mage? Same thing with Paladin, it's supposed to be half white mage, and why is he fight like assassin? Oh, anyway, there's only 5 bravery attacks, so I will look at each of them one at a time, like HP attack. It's more in depth this way. His neutral ground is Shadowbringer. It used to be HP attack. Like many close range ground attack, it's really hard to find an opportunity to use it, but if a melee character comes near you, it's a pretty great chance to deal pretty high damage and can knock them far away. Cecil forward ground is Dark Side. Insert crappy Star Wars joke right here. This is its main attack you will use a lot. Not only does it deal a pretty good amount of damage, the range is pretty decent and it travels really fast. You can use it to knock your opponent back from far range, help your teammate combo. It's a really neat move. Darth Vader backward ground is a biscuit. Wow, now that's pretty edgy. It's a long range AoE that can be shot to increase its power. It's really hard to land one due to a long detonation time, but with area that huge and the effect more spectacular than his HP attack, it's good for keeping enemy busy and poking from far range, but don't expect to hit one though. Abyssgate and Darkside are the reason why you want to start the match with Dark Knight. For the first couple seconds into the game, everyone was just keeping their distance and just try to shoot projectile at the opposite team. I will call this a poking phase. Unless if your team only have melee attack, you don't want to Leroy Jenkins into the middle of their team. Or else it's gonna be like an actual Leroy Jenkins. So until one player breaking into the fight, using a long range attack is the way to go. Sure, Paladin have that move, I will go into it later. But overall, Abyssgate and Darkside are a better choice for poking phase, especially Darkside. Dark Knight neutral aerial and the only aerial attack is Nightfall. It's a pretty decent move, but the damage is scaled depending on how high you are from the ground. But when you play Dark Knight, you don't want to go high up in the air. Not to mention his dash speed is slow too, so you're probably not going to use this move that much. But I will admit, dunking an opponent and see them falling into abyss is pretty satisfying. And lastly, his dash attack is good old Gravity Ball. Like old version, it's a projectile that when contact, it will bring the target down to the ground. One benefit for being dash attack rather than aerial move is that it can be used for pretty cool ground combo. Gravity Ball to bring a target down and change to a dark side, or hell, if they are close enough you can use Shadowbringer instead. Also, it can travel way farther than before, and lasts way longer too. So it can also be used for mid-range poking as well. The way I recommend you to play a Dark Knight is some sort of the combination of mage and fighter. So battle mage I guess. Try to stay between opponent and your team, keep some distance but not too far while shooting someone near and also assist your team from mid-range. You will mostly stay on the ground like Furion, so it can be really hard to hit someone from below, but on the ground, he is a dark force to be reckoned with. Now it's time to talk about Paladin, a semi-bruiser, semi-assassin who can somewhat heal, but only to himself. Kinda miss the point of being Paladin here. A perfect summarization of this job is a heavy type with a moveset of speed type. It will make sense in a second, so here you go. His ground neutral and the only ground attack is Light Slash. Honestly, I don't think you got a chance to use this at all. It's fast, yeah, so it's pretty safe from flank attack, but the range is short and the damage suck. And why the hell will you be on the ground when you play Paladin? Well, moving on. The Jedi neutral aerial is Raiden Wing. His bread and butter combo attack, but also comes with some weakness. This move is like a middle ground between heavy and speed type. Attack damage is pretty high, but animation lasts pretty long, so it's not safe from flank attack. It has a pretty okay dragging and knockback distance, but not as long as someone like Cloud. So yep, it's a jack of all trades move, but use it with caution. But that after image effect is pretty awesome though. The next two moves is pretty simple, so I'm gonna talk about them at once. A forward aerial, which is Sacred Cost, and the backward aerial, which is Saint Fall, another one-off used to be HP attack. It's a typical close-range dueling move that many speed type have. To be more accurate, it's a rising and driving attack. If the guy who you want to hit is above you, use Sacred Cost. If he's below you, use Saint Fall. This damage are a little lower than Raiden Bing, but these moves are way faster, so this is awesome for avoiding interruption. But the range is pretty short, so you gotta be at pretty close range to hit. Obviously, this makes Paladin a great air duelist, but his moveset doesn't just only have a dueling move. The Luke Skywalker dash attack is good old Searchlight. It's mostly like an original, he shoots a turret and it shoots some sort of many-like thingy. But the damage is, wow, that damn high? But actually it's really hard to land all projectiles at once. Cause strangely it won't make a target flinch, so anyone can just dash away and that's it. That light thingy is way smaller than before too, but it's still good for zoning and intercept though. It can deal some crazy amount of damage in some situations. But again, this is the only tool Paladin has for poking face. I personally like Paladin more, mostly cause I usually stay in mid-air more often. But on further thinking, I like how this job is a nice middle ground of heavy and speed type. Like Kain, I guess, but a little bit heavier. So if you want to play a speed type but want a little more punch and don't mind some speed taking out, then this job might be for you. Or you know, you can just play Kain, but I will leave him for the other day. Now when you know what each job can do, let's see how they affect each HP attacks. The default and the first one you get is Evil Blast. And Shine Blast. Don't mistake with Lunar Chase. Animation is similar but not quite. This move has a different name and property depending on Cecil's job. Evil Blast, a Dark Knight version, shoot a slow but long-lasting homing projectile, while Shine Blast, a Paladin version, shoot a fast but short-lived projectile. While I'm not seeing many people using this attack, I still think it's pretty good. It's kinda like Terra Meltdown but deal additional damage and have two versions to choose. The starting animation is pretty fast, so it can be used as a combo finisher. It's a utility that made this move really useful. The second attack is Paladin Force. Yep, I know you remember it. It's still the same too. A close range combo attack for Paladin. If he's currently in Dark Knight, he will instantly become Paladin. It deals a lot of damage, and sometimes you might call it an idiot to dash in the middle of a combo. It's a small AoE in last hit too, gotta memorize. Also, very important, you can't chain it with Searchlight. Don't even try it, even if it works, it's not even worth it. The next one, you guessed it, freaking Soul Eater. Basically a reverse Paladin Force. The attack is not an AoE, but is making up by fast animation. Might be a little too hard to do a Walrus combo with the Dark Knight, but you can just be a Paladin first, so it's no biggie. Its last HP attack is definitely a weird one. Dark Flame and Holy Flame. Let's start with Holy Flame first cause it's a less weird one. It's a long range AoE that when it hit, it will heal Cecil for 30% of the damage dealt. The heal part of it is really nice, but it's still really hard to land. The area is small and the cast time is slow too, so make sure your team locks someone down so you can land the attack properly. Dark Flame is another story. Instead of a small AoE, it's a wave attack. Can homing outwards, range is pretty good, and the area is pretty damn big too. The trade-off though, every time you use it, even if you miss, he will lose 400 health no matter what. Don't worry though, it can't kill you when it's low health, it will go down to 1 health. But make sure each Dark Flame count though. The cast time itself is pretty long, so it's not OP by any means. Just don't spam it like what you did in PSP game. And now it's time for one of the most crucial ability, his EX skill itself, Job Chain. Similar to Onion Knight, it instantly changes Cecil's job to the opposite one. But unlike Onion Knight who get an instant heal and bravery, Cecil's Job Chain give him a buff called Job Chain. Wow, they really run out of ideas for this, huh? Like many buff from exclusive EX skill, it gave him increased attack and defense. But in a very strange way, the buff starts off strong, but after some time it becomes weaker to the point it barely even matters. The buff itself has 30-second duration, same as EX skill cooldown, so it's possible to constantly have a buff on all the time, if you can manage each job effectively at least. But here's another crazy yet easy strategy. With Bahamut's summon, it can be an ultimate job chain party. Bahamut's permanent buff reduces the exclusive EX skill cooldown by the 1/3, so that means job chain cooldown will go down to 20 seconds. You can just constantly flip the job button to the point where you get at least 50% attack buff and 10% defense buff for the entire fight. Despite this fun and unique mechanic, sadly he wasn't that popular at first. He was nowhere to be found in the top 10 when the games launched, stayed at the bottom of the barrel after that, and never even in the top 15. But everything changed recently when he received some buff, and now he's skyrocketed to the 4th place, the place where he belongs. What kind of buff is that? Well, let me tell ya. Believe it or not, Cecil throughout his lifetime, he has rarely been received any kind of nerf throughout the year. Only 5 nerf is given to him since last year June, and one of them is a damage nerf which is cancelled off by the buff that is bigger anyway, and other 4 is nothing game breaking. For the buff, damn, he got a lot of those, but most of them are focused on Paladin. For example, all of his aerial attack got buffed in some way. Raiden wing got a tiny damage buff, so it's kinda worth it to actually risk that long animation attack for a higher damage, a little bit at least. And Circuit Cause and Saintfall have a longer vertical range, so it's closer to speed type attack now. Searchlight has a longer range now, so Paladin finally have a good poking skill. Hell, too good if you ask me. With the buff of this 4 move, really make Paladin somewhat stronger and more useful. I didn't mean that Dark Knight is always stronger before, but again, the good news for Paladin made like me. The only Dark Knight move that got a buff is a Gravity Ball. The ball itself got a little bit bigger and the speed is also increased. Other than that, not much to talk about here. For HP attack, Shine Blast and Evil Blast remain untouched while other attack got some tiny change. Paladin Force got a damage buff by 80 and then nerf by 32. So yeah, I still count it as buff. The same thing with Soul Eater, but they only buff its damage by 48 the same time as Paladin Force nerf. Probably because they realized that having a 2-job signature attack with different damage might be a little unfair. But that's not all of Soul Eater's chain. Remember how Soul Eater used to have a delay between the first and the last hits? Now the delay is gone, but don't worry, the damage is still the same. So it's become extremely fast attack that's safe from interruption. Another fun fact about Paladin Force and Soul Eater in the past, if you use an attack from different job, like say use Soul Eater when Cecil is in Paladin, the attack will have a slight delay. That means the Paladin Soul Eater is kinda hard to use, but thankfully since November 11, both moves have the same initial time regardless of what job he clearly in before he uses it. That faster Soul Eater buff is one of the reasons people start to play Cecil recently. Another reason is the change to his EX skill. Before that, his job chain will have about 1 second animation. The problem is, if he gets a hit in that time, the job chain will be cancelled and EX skill will still go to cooldown. Which is suck, but now that animation has been cut for about more than a half to the point where you can change job willy-nilly, it still can be cancelled though, be careful. Despite becoming stronger over the course of the year, there is not a new type of strange build I see people build that much aside from universal build. Maybe except for teleport I guess, which is pretty good for covering a little lack of speed. For counter and matchups, this is always kinda the same situation as Onion Knight though, but maybe even harder to point it down. It's not like he has a very noticeable weakness like Onion who got like strong but small hitbox and stuff, but I will manage anyway. The character who I think Cecil will have an edge on are Buzz and Garland. Buzz is a late game jack of all trades who needs some time to get good, and Dark Knight can easily blow him away with Dark Side cause Buzz kinda lack a long range attack until he masters Black Mage, and Paladin can easily duel him mid-air unless Bard can master Mystic Knight. Garland really struggle against Dark Knight. His projectile is slow and the only reliable attack is Chain Cast in mid-range, if you even able to get close to him at least. Paladin is easier to fight, Chain Cast is good too against dueling character, but Cecil still outspeed and damage him in normal states. So unless Garland was beating the living crap out of someone else and get a Soul of Chaos buff, it's gonna be really hard to deal with Cecil. For the people who have an edge on Cecil, I think it's Terra and Tidus. Terra magic come in a lot of different forms that can easily keep Dark Knight away. Paladin can fight Terra in some way, but Terra Tornado can block the melee attack from getting in. And Cecil don't have any super armor, so yeah. Tidus is annoying to fight and can avoid a lot of Dark Knight attack. Gravity Ball might work though, but still pretty hard to land. And Paladin is dependent on mind game at that point. But Searchlight will never hit him cause he's gonna keep moving anyway. Oh, and if he uses Spiral Cut or Energy Rain, change to Paladin as soon as possible. It's not gonna be a good time for Dark Knight. And that's it for Cecil. Go and vote in the store poll on who is gonna be the next Warrior Spotlight. Even though I know who is gonna be it anyway. Oh, and you only have 3 days before I close the poll this time. I have a lot of free time for about 2 months, so I try to upload more video. Again, like, share, and subscribe will be really awesome. Thank you for watching and see you next time.